And welcome to our channel, Ease Into It, with a capital E, capital S, Ease. On our channel, we take 3 days a week where I, Shannon, hello, attempt to wow and educate my ADD husband. So today is Murderous Monday. And we will be talking about the Papin sisters. Have you heard about the Papin sisters?
No.
No, you have not. That's why I'm here for you, is to learn you something. The Papin sisters, okay? So they were famous murderers before like anybody. So you've heard of like famous serial killers, right? Like what famous serial killers have you heard of? Like female serial killers. Who have you heard of?
I couldn't name them.
You can't name a serial killer?
Jack the Ripper? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I get like
newer ones.
Newer, yeah.
Okay,
like,
all right.
Come on.
Off
the top of your head.
Oh, there's Dahmer.
There you go.
You know, yeah.
Okay. Well, the Papin sisters are the type where you like look at them and go, I can see why they would become murderers. Like, have you ever had that time in your life where you've like looked at somebody and you're like, that person could murder somebody, and I would be like, yep, that makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. Like if like somebody got, yeah, like people at work, right? You're like, yeah, if they got busted for serial killing, you'd be like,
at work, but the people that I run into while I'm at work.
There's people at his work that I guarantee are serial killers.
Whatever.
Anyways, so the Papin sisters had like an extremely hard adolescence into adulthood, childhood. Like, of course, their whole life was just incredibly menacing and torturous and awful.
Yeah, but like, what era is it?
I'm gonna get there.
Okay, I'm just like,
don't rush me.
So
I'm gonna show you, if I can, a picture of the Papin sisters. So this is them when they were young. Why are you laughing?
They just look so angry.
They look angry. They do.
Like you did.
But
what?
when you hear about their life,
the last bit of
they are Italian now. Actually,
Italian.
they're French. So there you go. So this is the Papin sisters. Okay. Okay. These two were born to parents Clemens Daré and Gustave Papin. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
that's my best French. I never took French. You know a lot of Gustaves?
I love Gustav's. The restaurant?
Oh, yeah, Gustav's.
Fondue.
Okay, now stop. I know you're hungry, but please focus. Focus. Okay, before we get into the sisters, okay, you have to understand their parents, because it is the tea of the time, okay? And that's my thing now. That's the tea. Get with me.
No, I'm not doing it. You're not even doing tea right.
Tea. Tea of their time, okay?
Kill me. You're not
Everybody knew Clemens and Gustave had this tumultuous relationship. So you with me? Gustave, Clemens, they're like this. They're like, okay, they had this tumultuous.
What? This
tumultuous.
What the French?
Do I need to get you a dictionary?
You need to explain yourself.
Okay. Clemens was rumored to be having an affair with her boss. Okay. She was not married, but her boss was very much married with kids. So this was
the hustle. Good for her. She's trying to get that money.
Oh, okay. Respect. Okay, but then they have Gustave over there, and he like absolutely loved Clemens. And when he found out that she was pregnant, yes, pregnant, in October of 1901, he decided to make an honest woman out of her and marry her, even though that baby was probably the boss's baby, if you get my drift.
He didn't know that, though.
He didn't, but he was willing to like marry her and make an honest woman out of her. Because people back then were like, "Did you hear about Clemens? She's like, you know, with the boss, with her boss. Like they're doing it. Things are happening, and now she's pregnant." And then Gustav was like,
She's
I'll
a
save
woman.
you in 1901.
A woman in
A
1901.
woman in 1901
I mean,
who's pregnant out of wedlock. So
I mean, like, she's trying to make her way up the chain just like everybody else.
that's not how that works.
I respect the hustle either way.
Okay. All right. So then they have a daughter, okay, Amelia Papin, who was born in February of 1902. Gustav, though, was still like really suspicious that Clemens was still having this affair with her boss, right? And they were kind of doing the dirty still, or so he thought, and it made Gustav like incredibly suspicious and like almost to a point of like insanity where he was like, I know you're doing the boss still. I don't know why he's Southern all of a sudden. I'm sorry. How do you do French? I don't know. Anyways. So he decided that they would move. He's like, no, we are getting out of here in 1904. He's like, I'm going to get you and we are going to move away and you're never going to see this boss guy again. Well, Clemens obviously was not happy about this decision. And she threatened to commit suicide rather than leave the town that they were in, which was called Les Mans, which made Gustav even more suspicious. So she's like, I'm going to kill myself if you up and leave, if you up and make us leave this town. Why are you looking at me like that?
It's just so French.
It is so French.
It is so dramatic.
It is so French.
No offense. I'm part French.
I am too, but that is like, I mean, it's drama.
So
I'm here for it.
Whatever.
I'm here for it.
Ugh.
So even though Clemens wasn't happy, he up and moved him. I mean, he straight up and moved him. So they were constantly arguing, and there were reports that Clemens took that out on her husband and her kids. And in fact, showing her children absolutely zilch in affection. Okay? So people saw Clemens as like the super unstable woman, and they weren't surprised when they started seeing Gustav at the local watering hole way more than he should have been. Glug, 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 glug. If you get my drift. Okay? Yeah, he's out there drinking. She's out there depressed, not giving love to her children. Okay? So Christine Papin was born in 1905 to these two. Okay? And she was the middle child. Or maybe the boss's baby as well. We will never know. Boss baby. Gustav and Clemens, they decided they didn't want her. And they gave Christine to Gustav's sister, who didn't mind taking her in. So they were... Can you imagine? Just be like, you know what? We don't want our kids.
I'm not feeling that one.
I'm not feeling that one.
That side eye, that one keeps giving me.
I'm over it. I don't want her.
No.
But like, luckily,
done. Pack your shit.
So they were like, okay, we don't want her. We're gonna give her, we don't want her. So Gustav's sister took her in. They also decided they didn't want the oldest one either, Amelia.
Well, how do you?
They were like, I don't want that one either. And so they
emancipate these bitches.
They send her to a Catholic.
What's good money with?
They had so
this woman knows how to hustle. Like she tried to wake her way up, and then she was just like, no, those things cost money.
They do. They're expensive. Well, and so they decided they didn't want Amelia, the oldest one, anymore. So when Amelia was 9, they kicked her off to a Catholic orphanage. Dun, dun, dun. I know.
Is that the
Listen, Amelia is not the focus of this story, okay? Right. She is not the focus of the story. We're going back to Christine, middle child. So Christine was said by her aunt to be difficult. So after about 7 years with her aunt, she was sent to a Catholic orphanage. So nothing good ever comes out of the
second orphanage.
One? The second one, yeah.
The middle child was sent also.
Yeah, so she went to go live with the aunt, and the aunt was like, you're kind of difficult. And then was like, all right, you're going to go to a Catholic
Oh,
orphanage as
sorry,
well.
no one wanted you, and you
Yeah.
feel neglected. Don't worry, God will save it all.
Yeah, no kidding. So, or at least the nuns will beat it out of you, you know. Who knows? And here comes the youngest, Leah. I don't know why these two keep banging people, because nothing good is coming out of these people having children. Anyways, Leah was the youngest of the three girls. She was born in 1911, and again, the parents didn't want her. So they were like, let's give this one up too.
How is this options?
I know. Leah grew up with her mother's brother until he died, and then she went to the orphanage. So she was under somebody who was like normal for a bit, but then she was kicked to the orphanage until she was 15 years old. So we know that Christine was difficult, right? We know Christine was difficult, but also said to be a hard worker, although somewhat insolent and had a very strong and open personality. Whereas like Leah, on the other hand, she was super shy and introverted, and yeah, she was quiet and obedient. So you got these two different kinds of personalities.
It's a perfect combo.
Mm-hmm. In 1926, Christine and Leah landed a job in the home, and I am going to absolutely murder these names. Murder these names.
Please stop.
They landed a job in the home of Lancelin family, okay, as domestic live-in maids. So this is back in the days where you can have a maid that lives in your house, right? Okay.
They have plantations.
Yeah, but this is France, so, you know.
That's cool.
The Lancelin families were super well off. Dad was a retired lawyer, and he had a wife, obviously, and then they had an adult daughter that lived in the home with them. Christine served as the cook, and Leah cleaned the house. So it's kind of a good deal they had going on, right? Like, and on most accounts state that the Papin sisters, both Leah and Christine, were the model housemaids with great reputations, stayed proper. They had great behavior. So
yeah, they were in a Catholic church. You damn right. It was beaten into them.
That's so possible.
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Yeah, they probably beat the crap out of them until they got it right.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Okay, but they were said to be like a little unsocial, and they like.
Yeah, because you don't speak unless you're spoken to.
Things are gonna get weird here.
This is already weird.
No, this is gonna get so weird.
It's getting weird.
No, it was said that they were like super unsocial and they preferred each other's company.
Well, I mean, they're Catholic. And so, yeah.
What does that have to do with it?
They probably didn't have many options in the Catholic Church.
It's said that they stayed in their room and they didn't go out much. And by 1933, they had been with the Lancelin family for 6 whole years. So we're in the 30s now. The roaring 30s, okay? Roaring 20s? 30s?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. And by this time, Christine's 27 and Leah is 21, okay? On February 2nd of that year, Mrs. Lancelin and her daughter arrived home around 5:30, according to the detective reports, to a mostly dark home.
Okay.
It was It's not yet.
It's the 1920s, 1930s. This is like, oh, no one lit any candles. Damn.
That's kind of true. But the Christine and Leah were supposed to be home, so it was weird that they came home to this dark home, right? It was.
You don't see the dust. You don't have to clean it.
Now listen. The second time of that year that Mrs. Lancelin and her daughter arrived home around 5:30 to a dark home, okay? And it was the second time in a week, and they thought that it was because this iron malfunctioned and blew a fuse while Christine was ironing, okay? Well,
good excuse.
Christine told Mr. Lancelin that the iron had broke again, and Mrs. Lancelin was super cross and angry, and a big old argument broke out.
Okay.
Mrs. Lancelin was kind of bitchy. She was like,
Stuck up.
she was
Rich bitch.
super
Yeah,
strict.
whatever, Karen. Got it.
Yeah, and she would like, she was the kind that would put on white gloves and, you know, do the whole Mary Poppins dust thing. She was like that kind.
You leave Mary out of this.
Still, it's clean.
Poppins is not the same as Papin. All right, leave it alone.
and she would check for dust and she'd make Leah cry because she would be like, she missed. And Leah would have to go back in there and clean the same spots that she had cleaned already. And she would even give like horrible feedback on Christine's cooking. So don't do that. Don't do that. Somebody's cooking for you. It's good. It's yummy because you never know. You never know.
Like, please don't spit in my food.
Don't spit
you can
in my
spit in
food.
theirs,
Yeah.
not mine. We cool. I'll tip you.
But this argument was all Christine could take, and she snapped. She lunged at the Lancelins' adult daughter named Genevieve. Lunged at Genevieve, the adult daughter, and tore her eyes out.
Gangster. What?
Mhm.
That's like some freaking Kill Bill
With
shit.
her fingers, just
That's some Kill Bill shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, you
And
enlist them
then-
in the military next day.
And then Leah joined the struggle and grabbed Mrs. Lancelin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck your eyes.
Christine told Leah to gouge her eyes out. Yeah. She said, gouge Madam's eyes out. Literally, that's what she said.
That's awesome.
And Christine ran downstairs to the kitchen to get a knife and a hammer and then bludgeoned. I hate that word. It's just awful. Bludgeoned and sliced the mother and daughter to death.
Wait, how do you?
They did. They
Yeah,
did.
but how do you slice somebody with a hammer?
Not with a hammer. They bludgeoned with a hammer. They
You said
sliced.
bludgeoned and sliced.
They dead. We're there, right? They're dead.
So
They're dead.
pluck this one's eyes out,
Pluck.
and that's not good enough. We're
gonna bludgeon and slice.
I mean,
Bludgeon slice. Like it's a thing. Okay?
assassins.
They did. And they also used a pewter pitch. And I'm gonna show you, you won't know what a pewter pitch is because
Like a fire poker?
No. So she grabbed a pewter pitch, which I also had to look it up. I'm just gonna be straight up honest because I was like, I don't know what I had a feeling, but I didn't know for sure.
Okay, well, what'd she do with the damn pewter pitch?
Oh, and she bashed their heads in even further. So they're already dead, and she went and got a pitcher. Like she took the time to go get a pitcher.
That's beyond
It's heinous.
That's angry. FAFO, man. That's
What?
You don't mess with the help.
What is FAFO?
Fuck around and find out.
Oh, FAFO. I like that.
Okay.
So, experts estimated that the whole incident took 30 minutes. They had 30 minutes. They took 30 minutes to like do
Well, you
this.
gotta run all the way downstairs and run back up with a knife. And,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
But then that was it. They just left them bloody.
They were so. Yeah, they left him bloody. So Mr. Lancelin
Sloppy.
and his sister-in-law arrived home between 6:30 and 7 p.m. that night. The door was bolted from the inside, and the men were unable to enter the door. Or men, him and the I guess it was a sister-in-law, were unable to enter the door. They couldn't get in, which was weird. They knew someone had to be home, but it was completely dark except for a faint glow coming from the upper level. And I'm going to show you what the house looked like when they came in. So here is what it looked like when they came in. So up here is where they had the light glow coming, and then you had these two dead down here, and they run into, and then there's Genevieve down here.
And
They
they
couldn't-
could see
but
through
they could
because
see.
it's French and they have windows everywhere. And they could see a little light.
Yeah,
At
in
the
the
top
upper,
of the
at the top of the
stairs.
stairs, right?
Okay.
Okay,
What
so
does this pertain to anything?
they got super suspicious and they went to the police for help.
Highly suspect.
Highly suspect. And they went to the police for help. So the police
Wait,
make their way into the
You
home.
can't get into your house. You see a little light on.
This
No one's
little light
answering.
of
And you're just
mine,
like,
I'm
call the
gonna
police.
shine. Yes. Yes.
I mean, from what I've heard, like, I don't know. Okay, whatever. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah. So,
rich.
you're rich. So the police enter the home and they go up the stairs to find the gruesome scene, right? Most of the injuries were to the faces and the heads of the two women, but the daughters had deep lacerations. The daughter had deep lacerations in her legs and buttocks. They were horribly unrecognizable.
Wait. They cut up the legs and the butt?
Mm-hmm. They were horribly unrecognizable. I mean, it was gross.
Yeah,
It was gross.
Okay, obviously it's a crime and they're angry, right? So they're taking it out on these bodies because they're already dead. But then they just left it.
Yeah, basically. Their teeth littered the ground. This is the scene that they came into. The teeth littered the ground. Genevieve's eyes were found on top of the stairs and one under her body, while Mrs. Lancelin's eyes were found in the folds of her scarf. It was bad. And Mrs. Lancelin was lying on her back with her legs apart and one shoe on.
Now, wait, I thought you said there were serial killers, right?
I mean, I guess this isn't necessarily, I guess they're not serial killers.
Mm-hmm.
Genevieve was face down, and right next to her hip was the bloody kitchen knife with a dark handle. Both women were found with their skirts up and underwear pulled down. But during this time in France, as you know, it was highly inappropriate to photograph genitals of someone. So they had pulled the skirts down to take the photos.
Why would the girls do that?
That's a very good question. Blood was splattered everywhere, 2 meters above the body. There was blood like on the ceiling, 2 meters above the body.
Well, yeah, I mean, rip your eyes out. I start smashing you with a hammer. It's going to go
I was like everywhere. Yeah.
And it's not like she just stopped
Mm-hmm.
and took a break. We're talking it's going up and it's going down. It's going
Well,
up.
And remember, during this time, they still don't know who did it. Like, they're still there. And so the police.
Oh, that's right. They don't got crap back then.
Yeah.
They don't got
But
DNA
listen,
evidence, nothing.
They're worried. They're like, oh my God, I hope that the sisters didn't have the same fate as the wife and daughter.
Oh, they totally could have got away with it still.
Right. So the police start searching the whole house and wondering if the Papin sisters had suffered the same fate. But when they went upstairs to the top floor to their rooms, it was locked. Totally locked. Not a sound coming out or anything. It was just a locked door. So a locksmith was called to the scene to unlock the door. And when the police finally got to enter, they found the two girls together in bed with their robes on. Some sources say they were nude, and the police were just trying to cover up the indecency.
Oh, they probably showered or bathed.
I don't know. It didn't say anything in the report about that. Next to the bed on a chair lay the bloody hammer with bits of hair stuck in it. Yeah. Police asked them what happened, and both sisters immediately confessed to the crime. They were arrested and took them into custody, and the police took them into custody, of course.
Lame.
But wait, story's not over. Christine was said to become distressed and exhibited desperate fits when the police separated the girls, to the point that the authorities eventually allowed a meeting between the two sisters. Police said that Christine behaved and spoke in such a way that it implied a sexual relationship. Just let that sink in for a moment.
Sexual emotions, and all they have is one another.
Yeah.
So
in turn, the court appointed 3 doctors to administer these psychological tests on the girls in order to determine if they were sane or not. The doctors reported that Christine's affection for her sister was of family devotion, and they did not detect any kind of sexual relationship between the two.
okay.
Doctors said Leah looked at Christine as more like a mother figure and not as a big sister.
Okay.
Because you don't really have a mom, you know? So it makes sense that she would look at her like that. The evaluations came back and it stated that the sisters didn't have any kind of pathological mental disorders and no family history to kind of, you know,
They just
they
went
didn't have
postal.
anybody else. Yeah, they just went postal, basically. They deemed the girls completely sane and indicated that, if I could read, that their close union is what caused the girls to act out together, and they were equally responsible for the murders. Now, there was a fourth doctor, though, who testified and said that the girls could certainly not be normal. He said the relationship between them was complete merger of personalities, and that Leah had lost her identity to the dominant personality of Christine. So what he's saying was there was no Christine and there was no Leah. The killer was just the joint personality of the two.
Cool.
Yeah, so their brains.
That would have been a cool movie.
Wow. Actually, it's almost like Face Off, but like if both of them were the murderous fiends, if they were like two and were, oh, maybe. So he said, like I said, there was no Christina, there was no Leah. The killer was just a joint personality of the two, a third identity, if you will, okay? It is also typical that one partner dominates the other, and the Papin sisters were like this perfect example of that. At their trial, the jurors only took 40 minutes to return a guilty verdict. Leah received.
Well, yeah, they're guilty. They said they're guilty.
Yeah.
Why did it take so long?
This is, and I'm going to show you a picture here.
That's dumb.
So this is like them going into court. This is.
I love the mustache.
Yeah, that's a good one, right?
Oh,
so this is them during court. This is Christine, and this one on the right is Christine, and this one on the left of the officer is Leah.
Christine sort of looks like Tom Cruise with her head down like that.
Oh my god.
It's sort of creepy. It's cool. You can tell which one's dominant.
Yeah, you could tell.
100%.
Yeah, isn't that you could, right?
100%.
Like just looking at that picture. If I hadn't have told you the story and just showed you the picture,
that one's in charge, and that one will do anything for her.
Yeah. So after the trial and after the guilty verdict, Leah received a 10-year prison sentence. So the younger one got a 10-year. Christine at first got the guillotine sentence. They were like, "We're going to chop off her head."
Snap! What?
It's France.
Oh yeah, they like to chop things up.
I mean, if you're going to go, losing a head ain't a bad way.
Yeah, but prison's 10 times better, especially if you're already a slave. It's like, wait, you're going to feed me? Holy, I'm in.
But it was later reduced to a life of prison.
Nice.
Yeah, of course.
They got it off easy, in other words.
Well, sort of. Of course, with the murder, this gruesome and horrible, you started questioning, why? Why would they do this, right? I mean,
Can you imagine the rep in prison?
Yeah, but I mean, here are these two girls, right?
They walked in, they're like bosses.
Maybe, or like they could be targeted. Here's these two girls.
Nope.
Yeah, they were said to be these like upstanding, amazing girls who like were, and nobody had anything bad to say about them in town besides, the only thing a little weird about them is they spend a lot of time together. That's all I would say is weird. And then they commit this gruesome murder. Some intellectuals sympathized with the girls and stated that it was a class struggle and a reflection of the oppressive class divisions, poor working conditions, and the prejudice of the time.
Did I not just... Okay, yeah. I just said that. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. They walk in prison and they're like, yeah, we did that.
I don't think that's what happened.
I was me and her. Yeah, no. We cut them up too. Yeah. What? You say something?
Yeah, I mean,
take your eyes too.
if they had worked in decent employment with like a kind family, they probably would have never had to have a motive to do such a crime. Like I have to
in any way,
or
shape,
loved,
or form,
anywhere. Like obviously they're gonna love each other because they found each other and they were like they didn't have love growing up.
But what they knew of love.
Or what they knew of love, yeah. But others think it could have been like deep rooted from their childhood, like we're just saying, it was like they weren't loved and they weren't given affection, so they didn't know how to love and give affection. Damn. So the girls spent most of their lives away from their family, being put with other family members and in these like depressed and definite like worlds. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's a combination of it all, honestly. So, anyways,
Were they together in prison?
no.
Wait, they were put in different prisons?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
And because of this, Christine refused.
That's torture.
Yeah, Christine refused to eat and was transferred eventually to a mental institution.
Still easier life than what she was living.
Well, she ended up dying of starvation
Oh, sad.
in May of
They didn't have feeding
1937.
tubes and crap?
I
They didn't do
don't.
that back then?
I guess not. She died of starvation in 1937, May of 1937. She did. Leah ended up only serving 8 of her 10-year sentence. She was released in 1941 and lived with her mother in Nantes. Nantes,
Is that a
France.
question?
Nantes, France.
Is that a question? Because
I
I
don't know how to
can't
pronounce
correct
it.
you.
Under an assumed name until she died in 1982. Or did she?
1982 is when she died?
Supposedly. However, Claude Ventura is said to have found Leah while making a film. So he's a producer, right? And he said he found Leah while making the film, a documentary in search of the Papin sisters. He said he found her in a hospice center in France in 2000.
Okay.
The woman he thought was Leah had had a stroke and was partially paralyzed and unable to speak. She passed away in 2001. That, to me, is the real mystery. Did
Well,
she
I
die
mean,
in 19...
How you can't
82?
decipher any of that. She can't speak.
I mean, she would have been old, right?
Yeah.
Dude.
1982, that's when I was born. That's messed up.
Yeah, I mean, she was... But, they were born in, like, the early 1900s, so...
Wow, that's a lot of years.
Yeah. Right, like, if you look at the picture of them
But
next
their
to each
biggest, that was the biggest punishment they could have gave those two, was to separate them.
I agree. I think that's what drove...
But
I think it was a
giving them
combination.
prison or mental health places, that was the easy life for them.
You think they got the easy way out?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have rather had the guillotine? Like, she was so distressed and
It doesn't
discouraged
matter,
that she
man. Like,
starved herself.
You think about it, their whole life they did nothing but cooking and cleaning. Why do you think they were so good at it? And all they were taught was to be obedient from childhood.
That's very
on
true.
up. And then one day they just had enough and snapped.
Mm.
And then you're gonna be like, oh well, you're no longer cooking and cleaning. You're gonna go to prison where you might clean still, but you're gonna get your own room and you're gonna get 3 square meals a day.
I mean, if I had my choice, yeah. I mean, but I mean, their connection, I don't know. And what do you think? Were they sexual together? Do you think that they were sexual together, or do you think it was more of a mother-daughter relationship? Like,
they could have been sisters. Like, they're just like, hey, you want to use it? Yeah, I do want to use it. That looked like fun.
see, I don't know. I think, like,
they're sisters. I mean, like, who cares if they were sexual? Well, that's sort of weird.
no, this is my opinion. Their childhood was so traumatic; it could have gone either way. I would like to think,
In my opinion, they didn't have a childhood.
Yeah, it could have, like, yeah. In those Catholic orphanages in the 1900s, there was no childhood. You couldn't have a childhood. It wasn't about that.
At that age, those years and time, there was like, oh, there's no reading the Bible, but you will listen to the Bible. You will cook. You will clean. That's it.
Yeah. I don't know.
And if you talk or get out of line in any way, you were beat.
Yeah, you were beat.
So guess what? After a while, they snap, crackle, popped, and they beat back. I mean, I'm surprised it didn't happen a lot more.
Popped and they beat back.
I'm just saying, I'm not surprised that it didn't happen more.
I agree. I'm surprised that, and it probably did. It was
And
just
the only reason they got caught is because they.
well, and another reason why this
They felt
made
guilty.
such big news back in the days is it was women that did it.
They
You know, women-
didn't beat themselves for it or something.
Oh, that's probably. I mean,
Because they're Catholic, they probably beat the crap out of themselves for it. Probably while they were naked. They were cleaning themselves and beating themselves, probably.
I don't know. What do you guys think in the comments? we are going to get out of here. We're going to ease our way out. Thank you for joining us.
This was sort of fun.
This was sort of fun. We are
Awkward.
going to have WTF Wednesday coming up. Yeah, exactly. What the fuck? So WTF Wednesday is coming up, and that will be a wonderful surprise for both our viewers and you, of course, where we talk about whatever the hell I want to on Wednesday. I mean, we get to talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about every time, but...
And I get to make fun of it. Okay, so there you go.
There you go. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.